So now we're going to use the second tool. And part of the trick in using this tool is to make sure that the bent area of the tool is not sitting on the tool rest. You want the straight part of the shaft to be resting on the tool rest, which means that the tool rest needs to come back just a little bit. Give it a dry run, make sure that you're in good shape here, which we are. Again, with these carbide tools, because they're so sharp, it's just the lightest of touch. All right, go back to our scientific measuring apparatus here. Yeah, we're in good shape there. Yeah, we're not getting too overly scientific about this whole thing. We just want to basically take the mass out of this globe to lighten it up so that as we go to hang it, it's as light as it can possibly be. So at this point, we've got our shape, we've hollowed out the inside. Let's go ahead and sand it up here. I like to start sanding these guys with 180. This is a product called Soft. Excellent product. It's foam backed. I'll include the links in the description. And we have that here in at our store, as well as the hunter tools. And if you're interested in the hunter tools, those mini tools, they come in two different sets. The first set is a 3-piece set that has 2 bent tools, slightly different angles, and a straight bar. And then the second set has just a bent bar and a straight bar. And they're just, you know, like I mentioned, I don't spend a lot of time doing these globes. Over the course of time, I have not turned as many of these as I would have liked to, but when I have, part of the drawback before was finding a tool that I could get in there and hollow something out. And I had kind of made up some of my own tools here, something like this that I had kind of altered and made, but you know, it worked, but it was always a struggle. And with the hunter tools, it's just so easy, and that's why I really like those hunter tools. This is a small piece, so I'm starting at a little bit higher of a grit. Sometimes I start at 150, but with my first grit, basically what I want to make sure I do is get rid of any tool marks and deep scratches that were left behind from tool use. And I'm going to probably spend more time using the 180 grit than I would with the other grits, just because I'm kind of laying down a foundation, if you will. And I want to remove a little bit more material on the back side. And that's going to help me out quite a bit. Yeah. All right, from 180, see what else we got here. Got some 280 here. Usually I have dust extraction right up here at the piece. And again, you know, a lot of people, when it comes to sanding, they just really crank it on, and you know, they end up skating and skidding over the surface rather than actually sanding the piece that they're working on. And you just don't need to. Slow everything down, let the abrasive do the work. You got to figure, the sandpaper is either skating and skidding over the surface, or it's cutting / sanding into the piece. One or the other. And to be honest with you, it's probably doing some of both. But what we want to do is minimize the skating and skidding and maximize the sanding of the piece. And one way we're able to do that is by controlling our speed. The other is by controlling our pressure. And that's what's beautiful about a foamed back product like this, as opposed to taking just a piece of sandpaper up to your hand and doing it. With that, you have all of these high and low points on your hand. That's not what you're after. You want a nice, even grit, consistency, pressure. You want that pressure to be very even. And the way that you're able to do that is by having a foam backing of some sort. If you only have discs and you don't have a foam back product like that, that's fine. Take your discs and attach them to a soft interface pad and use that disc with that soft interface pad the same way that I'm using the padded abrasive here. There's more ways than one to skin a cat. All right, so that takes us 4. You know, when you get up to the higher grits, a lot of people get confused and they think that if the piece starts becoming shiny, that they're really sanding it well. And what I would say to that is that if the piece is becoming shiny, it's generally because you're sanding too fast and you're burnishing the piece. Slow things down. With these higher grits, all you're doing is what I call fogging or clouding the piece. Just creating a white film over the surface. That's when you know that you sanded the piece efficiently. Okay, so took it up to 600. Just for the old feel good. Let's see how we look here. Yep, we're in good shape. Let's go ahead and put some finish on it. What I use, the way I finish pieces like this, especially small pieces, is I always seal the piece. and I seal it with a little bit of lacquer. Usually it's cut 50-50 with some lacquer thinner.